I have two hats that are relevant here. One of them, I'm the main administrator for the Fellowship for Intentional Community. It's a nonprofit organization based in Missouri that's been around for 26 years. It serves as a clearinghouse for information about cooperative groups all over North America and the rest of the world. In addition to that job, though, I'm also a process consultant. I've been living in a community that I helped start in 1974 called Sand Hill Farm. And from that experience in group living, I've started working with groups all over the U.S. and Canada back in 1987. And I both teach about group dynamics and come in as an outside facilitator to help them get more of what they're looking for in a community and survive the hard parts. Well, I'm lucky in that not only have I found something that I love doing, but I get paid to do it. And simultaneously, the work I do with groups is my service path. That is the thing I do in the world that helps with social change, how to make the world a better place. And it's also my personal growth path. That is the things I find out about myself in delivery and in service to other people helps me grow as a person. I met Maikwe, my wife, in 1997, the fall, when she was, her first child, Gibran, was just born. She was living at East Wind at the time, but she moved to Albuquerque in 2003, and then we got together romantically in 2005. And then I spent a lot of time in Albuquerque as we were trying to figure out what we were going to do together, ultimately leading to our marriage in 2007. And she got involved in the block, the area of Anderson, Carlisle, Thaxton, that area, which is where the source is located. And she rented a house on Anderson, and for a year and a half she lived there. And I watched the beginnings of the source, where Rich and Charey had bought the property and tried to develop it into a community center. Michael Thomas Coffee was located there, and in fact the first 2 days of the wedding that Maikwe and I had back in 2007 were at the source. So it was very exciting for me to see that nascent community-centered activity get started back then. It was wonderful to come back here in 2013 after many years away and see how much had been developed in the years that I've been gone, how other properties have been added to the original ones right at the end of the block on Carlisle, and guest fences have been taken down, and improvements have been made to some of the areas so that people could walk into the different sections, and you didn't really see them as distinct properties anymore. There were different suites of healthcare practitioners in the different places, and the vibrancy, you could really see that it was a dream realized over the years. It was very exciting to see. The thing that excites me a lot about it, though, is when I come out of the field of intentional communities. That means groups of people who own land together. They own or control a long-term lease so that they're living together on the same property, sharing their lives in a fairly intense way. However, the desire for more community or more sense of cooperation and belonging in people's lives is much, much broader than the numbers of people who are interested in owning land together with others. So the way I see it is there's a very large demand for more community in people's lives, although they may not live in intentional community. And the source is an excellent example of a neighborhood responding to the vibrancy of a community-like feel that is with a lowercase c. It's not an intentional community, it's not with jointly held property, but it's with a dream of greater connection and belonging that people can, it's kind of a membrane that people can they can be as close to it or as involved as suits their needs without having to answer a certain membership criteria. And I think that this is a model that we're going to see I hope we'll see replicated in neighborhoods throughout urban areas especially over and over again. So I'm really delighted to see this come about. The hunger for more connection, belonging, safety, sense of neighborhood is profound. I think if you ask most people today if they have as much community in their life as they had growing up, most adults, if you ask that question, would say no, it's worse. There's more fragmentation, there's more sense of isolation, alienation, and that's a sadness for them. They would like to recreate or go back to something they experienced earlier in their life. And so the source is an example of moving in that direction, of creating something where people have a memory of it, but don't have any idea where to go to find it today. And now here the people are responding and creating that thing that meets a real human need. And what I mean by that is I think there's a lot of dissatisfaction with the hierarchic adversarial culture that's the dominant norm in our society today. A lot of people would like something more civil, more cordial, more connected, more cooperative, where everyone who's involved as a stakeholder in something has a say in what the outcome is. And we've learned something about how to do that in community. And the fundamental challenge is, how do you come into a situation where people who care about a thing disagree about what to do on non-trivial matters, and the examination of those differences leads to their being closer rather than divided or debilitated by that examination. That's the challenge. Nobody needs help if you think the same way. It's when you disagree, how does that go? And we learned something about that in intentional community that I'm hoping, and I think in my deepest heart, will be applicable to workplaces, to neighborhoods, to churches, to schools, anywhere where people want to stay connected and still solve problems without the majority running over the minority.
Charey's an amazing woman. She has this entrepreneurial spirit where she wants to get out in the world and create these really amazing things, and she sees that business is a way to do that in a really ethical way. And I saw her spend a lot of time in the years leading up to the source trying to figure out where to put that energy. And when the property became available at the source, she'd been involved with community building for a long time, which is another one of the roots to the source, and found a way to bring together that entrepreneurial spirit with her community creating. And the thing about Charey is that she'll try anything. She's amazingly adventuresome, and she can take all these disparate bits and pieces and sort of pull them together into this really magical fabric, and you don't even get that there were disparate pieces coming into it. It's like she weaves things together. So she brings together that entrepreneurial business piece with community, with art, and with her really lifelong commitment to spirituality and personal growth. And it all gets spun together into this amazing block that the source is at the center of. And I see her spirit really infusing this project and getting to see it. I don't know how many years we are into this now, 7 or 8 years into the project now, and being able to really see that artist's way of pulling a bunch of stuff together really manifest in a really maturing and amazing project where it is community and it is art and it is really beautiful, and people walk through the property and can just feel that there's something really special in a sense of being really held by the project and the property and by Charey.